Welcome to episode number 6 of Apartment Hacker.
Mike.
Sorry, wrong show. Full Brew.
Full Brew.
I'm Mike Brewer.
I'm Patrick Fulcher.
And we are filming right here at V-Link Studios in Marietta, Georgia today.
Yes, Mike, have you noticed, this is episode 6, and you notice we have been at a different location every single episode.
I can't believe 6. It's creeped up
I
on
know.
us. And yes.
6 months we've been doing this, but we want to keep people watching. They never know where we're going to be.
That's right. We like novelty and variety.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So, Mike, there's a lot that we're going to talk about during this episode. One of the things that we're going to preview on this episode is the new Radco Hub.
I'm excited about that.
Which is our central location for everybody to be able to access all the tools and resources that you need to be successful in your job at Radco. So we're going to be showing you kind of a screenshot of what that looks like. And it will be actually officially launched at the end of this month. So we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later in the show.
Yeah, it's insanely cool.
And Mike, we want everybody to stick around to the very end of the program today, because we're going to be showing some outtakes. You guys, I know you guys think that every episode, this is perfect. Mike and I sit down, we have all this scripted out. Well, it doesn't actually go that way. So we're going to show you what it looks like, kind of behind the scenes, some of the funny things that happen, and we have a lot of funny moments.
They are
just like
funny.
when you started the show this morning. Mike,
that was a total accident.
It was Apartment Hacker. That's not what we're doing.
Creature of habit.
A creature of habit, absolutely. So, Mike, let's get started. One of the things that we're focusing on this month is wellness. And we had the privilege of sitting down with Brian Gershkowitz, the COO of the Radco Companies, and he's going to be talking to us about our new wellness program. So let's take a look at that interview with Brian. I'm Patrick Fulcher, and I am so happy to be here today with Brian Gershkowitz, the Chief Operating Officer of the Radco Companies. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you for having me, Patrick.
Brian, you are going to be talking to us today about our brand new wellness program that Radco is rolling out across the company, and we are so excited to hear the details about that program. Can you kind of describe for us the Thrive logo, which is a really cool logo, by the way. Can you describe for us what each of those 3 leaves mean in the Thrive logo?
Sure. Each leaf represents a different part of wellness. So one is physical wellness, one is mental and emotional wellness, and the third is financial wellness. On the physical wellness leaf, we'll be leveraging relationships we currently have with our healthcare providers, as well as trying to identify other partners in each of our communities for purposes of improving our physical health throughout the company. For our mental and emotional health leaf, we've already rolled out an employee assistance program called Lighthouse Services. That's to provide support for any employee who might be going through a difficult time in their own lives, or want to confidentially report something that they think might need to be brought to the attention of leadership. We're also working with another group to provide essentially a life coaching service that will allow employees to have a third party they might want to talk to confidentially about major life decisions and other things going on that might not be as urgent as you might as an issue you might bring to the attention of our employee assistance program. And the cornerstone, I think, of this year's wellness program is our financial wellness. Financial wellness program will leverage a relationship we've created with SunTrust Bank, and they have an online program that will allow team members to obtain guidance on everything from basic budgeting through retirement.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's very
Very comprehensive program. So it looks at all the different areas of people's wellness as a holistic approach.
Exactly.
Awesome. So a very special thank you to Brian Gershkowitz for joining us today on the program and talking about Thrive, our brand new wellness initiative with Radco. And what's really exciting, Mike, is that this is just another way that we express our core value of caring with our team members.
That's right.
And there's going to be so many opportunities and resources available to for our team members to engage with each other. There's going to be contests, there's going to be competitions, and that's all very healthy for our organization as a whole. So Thank you again, Brian, for being with us today, and you're going to hear more over the next month about the Thrive Wellness Program. We have some videos coming up, but first, let's talk about your home, your voice, Mike. This is, marketing is everything.
It is everything.
So, Mike, tell us what's going on with the Your Home, Your Voice resident survey program.
So as everyone well knows, it's part of the PFP or Pay for Performance. We have a KPI there that says that the organization will achieve a 70% overall satisfaction rating from a consumer's perspective.
Right.
And so we started out at the lower end of 70. I think 62 was the benchmark or the baseline where we started.
Okay.
I'm happy, very excited rather, to...
Drum roll.
Yeah. Can you do a drum roll? Yeah.
We did add a sound effects person to this show.
We need to put that on Sharon's to-do list, right?
Right, Sharon, can you please make a note? Add sound effects. Thank
Yes.
you. All right, moving on.
So we've gone from 62 to 64% over the last couple
That's
of months.
fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic.
That is awesome.
Yes. Applause to everyone.
Yes, good movement.
Absolutely. So, but we're aiming at 70, so we want to make sure that we are giving everyone every opportunity to achieve that. So 24 properties out there today, I think, have achieved the 70% or above mark.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
Yeah, I
that's
think
a
that's
large number of properties.
It's really good,
Yeah.
but we still have some people that need
Sure.
to get to that number. So we thought it important to support people's efforts from this side of the equation. And so we've put together, Sarah and her team have put together a task force or a committee of 12 individuals who have a heart for and a passion for customer service.
Sure.
And really that committee is designed to brainstorm ideas to take that score from wherever it is today up to that 70 percentile mark. So the committee will actually reach out to the
Okay.
properties, the various property managers where the scores aren't there, brainstorm some ideas, kick them around a little bit. We'll actually archive those ideas and make them available for people to go and look at online. And bring back to their teams and their team members and actually employ on the property in an effort to bring that thing up. So I just want to make sure that everybody doesn't look at this or nobody looks at this as a negative.
Sure.
This is a positive
Sure.
thing for everybody out there.
So what I'm hearing you say, Mike, if I'm a property manager at one of the properties that is below 70% overall score, I should expect to receive some communication from a member of the Kingsley Task Force.
Correct.
And what this group is charged with is a resource, really.
You've got it.
It's
You've
not
got it.
anything about beating anyone up or saying you did a bad
No.
job. It's about how can we all work together
As a community.
collectively, as a team, to raise the overall score of the company and each property.
You've got it.
That's
Precisely.
fantastic. That's a great resource. So, what's the time frame, Mike, for those calls or emails to go out to the people that?
In the coming 5 to 10 business days, you should expect to hear from someone from
Excellent.
that committee. One other remark I would make about the Kingsley survey and the fact that we are shooting for 70% is, instead of something higher than that, is we've taken into consideration that there are things that impact that score
Sure.
that are potentially beyond your control. In the same breath, I would say that those things are somewhat in your control in that you can raise your hand. If there's something impacting your score in a negative way, you can actually reach out to somebody and say, hey, look, I think that X is impacting my score, and it's a broken piece of a system or a broken piece of a process, and it's a way of bubbling up things that we in the organization can actually work to correct and hopefully amplify that score a little bit.
You know, Mike, I know Norman always tells the stories when he visits the properties. A lot of times he'll say, what can we help you with? He'll
That's
always
right.
ask the question. And he said a lot of times it's radio silence.
That's right.
Oh, we're fine.
Until he
But then
prompts.
when he starts digging and probing deeper, we find out, this list of things that, and we want to help. The investment managers are there to be able to find the dollars, to be able to do some of those things. But you have to, like you said, you have to raise your hand and say, could we do this?
Right. That's exactly right.
So, Mike, one of the fun parts about working at Radco is we have a lot of great talent in this organization. And
True
as a
statement.
result of that, a lot of times when we have promotional opportunities within our organization, we have people that are ready to take on those challenges. So 2 of those people, we had the opportunity to sit down with Sherry Brooks, who was a property manager for us, who is now a regional property manager, and Norman Elder, who was a floating maintenance supervisor, just recently got promoted to a regional maintenance manager. So we had the opportunity to sit down with them and for them to tell us a little bit more about their story. And I just want to say, Mike, kudos to Sherry and to Norman for doing this, because hashtag fearless, right?
Exactly.
It is not easy to sit down in front of a camera and just tell your story. It's very nerve-wracking, and these guys did an amazing job.
That's right.
So let's hear what Norman and Sherry had to say.
My name is Sherry Brooks. I've been with Radco for a year now. Was at Ashford Druid Hills, and then was recently promoted to regional manager.
Hi, my name is Norman Nelder. I've been on Radco 6 months. I'm a regional maintenance manager.
Cornelius Calloway. He's been a very big influence. I've known him a very long time. He's very supportive, excellent at just being there for you, guiding you, mentoring you.
I say Levy St. Cloud. He's a great guy. He wants you to learn. He wants to see you grow.
The piece that probably taught me the most is dealing with the residents. Having that personal relationship when you're on site and being involved versus I think when you're off site, you tend to lose track of people. And so I think for me, that's probably my biggest platform, is just always remembering the residents and why we're here to serve them.
I would say fearless. I was in San Antonio for 4.5 months, so I learned a lot there. I got promoted to a regional maintenance manager. Then they gave me another surprise, and I'm going to Indianapolis, Indiana. So I went there. I met a bunch of nice guys, and it was all new. I've never been up north before. So I'm looking forward to something new, a new adventure. I know that I'm not going there alone. I know the Radco family is going to be there with me.
For me, I would say flexible. You have to be able to bend and to change roles maybe instantly, put on a different hat, expect the unexpected.
There's no I in team. We're going to pull together. We're going to have good days and bad days. There's going to be a lot of work ahead of us, but all we got to do is work together.
I want them to know that I support them. I'm here for them. They're never alone in any step that they're taking, and I want them to grow too.
This is a wonderful company. It's an opportunity to grow quick. You've got an opportunity to shine and to set your goals. And what your goals are, work towards it, and you'll make it. I'm a country boy from Alabama, no street lights, no traffic lights. I like to ride horses, and I do a lot of hunting.
Well, first of all, I hate being recorded, but I would do it for you. And also, I have 2 grandchildren, a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old. They're the light of my life.
Okay, Patrick, before we move on, I have a couple of things to say about Sherry and Norman.
Okay.
So I recall actually sitting down to have a conversation with Sherry, just a quick conversation, and I recall her telling me some personal stories that really related to the idea of perseverance. And it just struck me so deeply what she has been through in her life, and in my head it sort of has prepared her for this moment where she can fear less to be fearless, not only in that video but in the adventure that she is about to embark on. And then Norman, we have an asset down in Texas, in San Antonio specifically, City Trails. It hit a rough patch. We asked Norman if he would entertain the idea of going down there to help that asset turn around, get back on the rails, and he said, absolutely, I will do it. So I think that, raising your hand.
Hashtag flexible.
The hashtag flexible. Raising your hand, being flexible, going down and doing something like that is a real tell for,
Absolutely.
hey, we are confident in you taking that next step to be that next regional.
Thank you,
manager.
Sherry and Norman. That was a fantastic interview. We really enjoyed getting to learn more about you guys.
Exactly right. So now that gives way to 2 other promotions that we'd like to talk about, and that is 2 new directors in the organization. Ashley Jones, I just think that is an amazing story of promotion from within, someone who has persevered again a lot of adverse scenarios in order to prep herself for this moment in time.
Yes.
And then Natalie Sinkovich, who is a new director with the organization, coming in, and we thought it would be fun to sort of pair these 2 together in a video, to have them banter back and forth about someone who's been with the company for some bit of time and someone who is brand new to the organization. So let's take a look at what they had to say.
Awesome.
Good morning, I'm Ashley Jones. I'm the Director of Operations for Central Division, and this is
Natalie Sinkovich. I'm the Director for Georgia and Tennessee.
I've been with Radco since August of 2016.
Fabulous. I've been with Radco for 2 weeks. My favorite so far has been caring. I've really never worked for a company that demonstrates that value so clearly and across the board.
My dad started me in the business at the age of 15. He's been in the business for over 40 years and recently retired last year. And he pretty much just prepared me for everything that I would experience down the road, and he's held my hand every step of the way.
So I think back to an early leader. Her name was Lynn Lansdale, and she would always tell me, don't do the job you're doing, do the job you want. I started as a leasing consultant. I'm still a leasing consultant in my heart. And as you gain new roles, you just add them. You never lose the old one.
What I've always learned is just to treat everyone different. Learn their personality and adjust to that. Don't put anyone in a box.
I would want to tell myself, you're free when you're fearless. And I love that's one of our values, because I really believe that. When you look at your motivation and you think, am I doing this out of fear? It's probably not the right thing. And I wish I had known that earlier.
13-year-old me would probably say, girl, don't be so hard on yourself. I was always told that I was such a bossy little girl. But now I've learned that bossy girls make strong leaders. Try your best to build a relationship with all of the leaders. Really learn from those people and get to know them, because they're all very, very special people within our company. I love the outdoors. I love to do spontaneous things. That, a pair of jeans and some sneakers is my comfort zone. So, I'm definitely a tomboy at heart.
I am a certified EFT tapping coach, and that's it's a methodology that helps people move energy and helps people heal. And it's amazing to see how lives can be changed with it.
It's been fun getting to know you over the last couple weeks, and we get to share an office.
We do.
So we're going to be besties. I already know it.
I completely agree, and I appreciate your time as well.
So thank you, Ashley and Natalie. That was a fantastic interview, Mike. I loved watching the energy between the two of them. But one thing that I don't know that came out 100% on that video was that Natalie is quite the prankster. And she, if you get a chance, if you run into Ashley, ask Ashley the story about the piece of artwork that is hanging in her office. And it's a really funny story. I'm sure Ashley would be happy to share that with you. So
It really brings out a piece of Natalie's
absolutely.
personality.
But fantastic interview, Mike. And there's 4 people in our organization who are now have more responsibility in jobs of a bigger scope. And those, that's what Radco is all about.
It truly is.
So we're growing fast, and we need people that can step up and take on new challenges. So, Mike, let's take a break from the interviews for just a minute. I want to talk about, really briefly, the Radco Hub. And I'm not even sure that a lot of people may have not heard of this. It was in an email that went out from Brian about a week ago, but it was at the very bottom, and it may have gotten lost a little bit. So I just want to talk about what is the Radco Hub. One of the things that we've heard clearly, Mike, in the feedback being a gift, that we have heard is that people have a difficult time getting to the different pieces of technology that we have, resources. So the idea behind the Radco Hub was to really create this hub and spoke system where people could go to one place to get to everywhere else that they need to go. So you're going to see on your screen right now sort of a screenshot of what the hub looks like. This is the main landing page. So you will see there's a menu on the left side of the screen, and there's icons on the right side of the screen that get you to different places. But the idea here, Mike, is one-stop shopping for everything. So you don't have to go to this SharePoint page and this location. This will actually be where you will access your property landing page from now on, your SharePoint page, Yardi, all of the different systems that we use. This is the one location to do that. So look for more information that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
That's right.
We're officially launching the Radco Hub at the end of this month.
It brings to mind app fatigue, right? We've had so much fatigue as it relates to all these systems that we have to go out and log into. And the hub now is just one place where you don't have to get out fatigued.
I think, Mike, when we were pulling together the information for Intrigate, we determined that we have over 30 different
30?
applications.
That's crazy.
Or software systems that we use, which is a lot. So to try to keep all those little icons stored on your desktop or, stored as a favorite becomes cumbersome. So this one location will be the place to access all those. Also, IT is going to handle making the hub your landing page.
I like
so when
that.
you open your browser up that first time after this goes live, guess what? It's going to default to the hub. So you don't have to worry about saving that in your favorites. Every time you log into your computer, it's automatically going to go to that page.
I like that. Like that a lot.
Absolutely. So, Mike, you recently, we've been doing the grand tours
Yes.
over the last 6 months, and I think we successfully made it to every property. Is that
I think we have 2 tours left.
two
but
tours left?
We're close.
We're very, very close. Excellent. So, Mike, I know this is one of the things you really enjoy doing, so I know you're going to want to talk about it. So, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the things you learned
Sure.
on this, the last 6 months on these tours?
Absolutely. I think I would say, to preface, that there are areas of opportunity in our organization, and that is not a bad thing,
No.
right? We
Absolutely.
can learn and grow every day, and I think it takes people like yourself or myself or Norman or Robert to get out into the market and manage by wandering around, in a sense. And so we get to walk around, we get to interact with individuals, we get to understand what their hardships are, we get to understand what their successes are. And I like to frame that digital curb to commode because, as we well know, everything starts online today,
Yes.
right? When you're going out to search for an apartment, you start in the Google search bar, right? And whatever yields in that Google search bar, at least as it relates to the link that we click on, we want that first presentation to pop, right? Whether it be our website, a ILS website, or a review about one of our properties. We want all that to pop, right? Then I think it gives way to actually driving up to the community and your curb appeal, right? Your curbs need to look crispy, fresh paint. The landscape needs to be
No dead plants.
No dead plants, please. No dead plants. And if you rip out a dead plant, put a plant back, right? I see that a lot where we have a void,
Or if
I
a
bet there was a nice
resident,
plant
or
there.
if a resident rips out a plant.
That's exactly right, and that happens from time to
It
time.
does. It does.
So we want to make sure that that presentation, or what Norm likes to call the critical path, make sure that the critical path is crisp and clean from the curb to the parking lot. Your lines are painted nice and crisp where someone might pull into a parking space, they get out of their car, they walk into the clubhouse, walking up the steps, make sure you have no cobwebs around your door. When you get in, make sure people stand and greet, have name tags on. And one note about name tags, make sure they're not here, they're,
Or they're not
straight,
upside down.
Upside down,
I've seen that a few
before.
times.
But the presentation right on through to the amenity set, to the apartment itself, and I have this inspection that I will admit that is completely over the top. I walk in, it's very white glove, even though I don't have white gloves on, but I touch every single piece of the apartment. Top of door jambs, top of ceiling fan blades. I pull out the drawer from underneath the stove. I pop the top of the stove up, put my hands in there. I feel the seal in the refrigerator. I make my way to the bathroom, and this is really gross. Plug your ears if you don't want to hear, but I rub my hands around the bottom of the commode, all around the piece of caulking that goes along the tub. And it's overdone for a reason.
Right.
Because we do need to have a standard and an expectation that exceeds, and I use that word on purpose, exceeds our consumers' expectation. I used to say, would you move your mom in this apartment? Would you move your girlfriend? Would you move your wife into this apartment? And I think that is really important to imbue in your mind. It needs to exceed the expectation of the consumer that will be living in that apartment. So when I was out, I saw some things that weren't meeting that expectation, but I think we've communicated that, and I think I'm looking forward to some future site visits where we see that.
Absolutely. Well, that's exciting, Mike. That and you had the opportunity, while you were doing that, you had the opportunity to meet a lot of our RADCO team members.
Yes, that was really fun. I have to say, that's probably the thing I enjoy most. We spend a lot of time in our home office, but getting out in the field and hearing stories from the people that serve this business every single day, and in the trenches, if you will, but personal stories of their lives and of the things that they persevered in their lives and how they apply that to their work lives is just really compelling to me, and I really enjoy doing it.
And not to steal a quote from Norman, but he says, we have the best people in the business.
best
And
people.
he's right. And I love when he declares that and says it. It makes me very proud to be part of this company, because we do.
Absolutely.
Our people work very hard. Everybody that's watching works very hard every day. It's not an easy job either,
No.
Mike. It's not.
No.
Another thing Norman says is what we do is hard. It's very hard. Like to make sure all that stuff that you talked about in the apartment is perfect.
That's right.
It's a lot of work to do that, right? You have to work at it, but the results of that pay off in huge ways.
That work, it brings to mind that work is so hard. I owned a landscape company a long time ago, and I worked all day long from the time the sun came up until it went down at night. And I would come home and I would not really be exhausted because it was like a workout, and there was endorphins firing off, and I was energetic after a full day's work. Work in this business is emotionally taxing, and you are wore out. You and I have talked about this. You get home at the end of the day, and I have to imagine this exists out there.
I know it does.
You get
Yes.
home at the end of the day and you hit the pillow and you're out, right? Because it's just a tax on you.
Because we've given so much,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
It's not really the physical work. It's the giving we do,
That's right.
and the emotional drain that places on us. But it's so, and we've said so many times on this program, Mike, how what we do in this business is so personal.
It
There's
is.
we don't sell widgets. We don't produce a product at
No.
the end. We're not an assembly line. We give people homes. And I don't think there's anything else that we do, that I can think of that's more personal than that.
No. And that higher level of giving is really, in my mind, the differentiating factor between Radco and the great people that serve Radco and our competitor down the street.
Absolutely. Hashtag caring. Mike, I know that we could talk about that for a long time. It's something that's very near and passionate to both of our. But I just, I want to say a huge thank you to all of our team members that do what they do every day. You got to meet a lot of them. We want to continue to celebrate them and celebrate those stories. If you have stories,
Yes.
great customer service stories, that's something we definitely want to hear about. That's what this program is really all about. It's about highlighting the great team members that work for our company. So if you have stories about people that have gone above and beyond in providing exceptional customer service to our residents, please send those stories in to us. It's news@radcoliving.com. Again, that's NEWS, news@radcoliving.com, and we want to hear from you.
Yes, please
So
do.
we can share those stories with the entire company. And like you say, Mike, those stories become the fabric of our company.
That's right.
So, Mike, we're on the subject of culture. Since we're talking about culture right now, I think now is a good time to. I never want to fail to mention this program on any Full Brew episode that we do is our Safety Ambassador and our Amplify Ambassador program. And I am proud to say today, Mike, and this is blowing my mind
My mind
that
is blown.
we are actually at this number, but for the month of April, 99.35% of all of our team members completed all the required training
That is amazing.
for the month of April. It's phenomenal. If you do the math, and I'm not a math person, but someone told me before the show that if you do the math on that, that's only 2 team members.
Two
Christy,
team members.
can I please have the name of those 2 team members?
We're coming for you.
And I'm going to personally give them a call after the broadcast today and make sure they complete that. No, that's true, Mike. Only 2 people were not able to complete for the month of April. It's phenomenal.
If that happens again, we're going to call them live from the show.
We're going to call them live. We're going to have a little phone here. We're going to call them up.
I
and
like
we're
that
gonna,
idea.
we're gonna- yes. So, Christy, please let us know for next month. We're going to call those people's cell phone numbers on the next episode. So we're just playing.
Now we're going to have 50% participation because everyone wants that call.
So you don't want to receive a call from us on the show about that topic, right? That's fun stuff. We're just having a good time here today, but it does just show, Mike, that we have really shifted to a learning culture.
That's right.
Learning is important, and what I love to see is on Yammer and all of our social media channels, those classes happening, and I see those team members standing by the TVs in their offices. transferring knowledge to other people that work with them, that it doesn't get better than that.
No, it's overwhelming to me, and it's not only the recipients of that information, but the fact that our team members #fearless stand
Yes.
up in front of people and actually do presentation. I mean, public speaking is like dying 1,000 deaths
Yes.
for people. Standing up in front of a group of your peers and presenting information, even if you're reading it off of a teleprompter, is
Not easy.
yeah, it's not
Very
easy, and
difficult.
you're anxious and you're shaky and sweaty brows and sweaty. It's not easy. So I applaud those
Yeah,
of you
so
who are out there doing
kudos,
that.
thank you to all of our safety ambassadors and all of our Amplify ambassadors. And I can't ever let this pass without saying thank you to Christy Rodriguez, who oversees that. She's right here in the studio with us. Thank you, Christy, who oversees that program for us. It's been a huge success. And I can't wait to tell all of the industry about the success of that program and continue to share with everybody in the multifamily world, because I think there's lots that we can share with other companies.
I love it. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, Mike, let's talk. I know one of the things that you and I are kind of interested a lot in technology and automation, and I know you read probably a lot more than I do. But we talk about this a lot, and automation is really something that has changed work and the way that business is conducted. If I think back to the way things used to be, and I think what we do today, right, Mike? So right now, I don't have my phone with me, but right now I could hold my phone and I could press a button on my phone, and a car will show up outside
That's right.
of this studio to pick you and I up and take us anywhere we wanted to go.
True statement.
Right? That happens today.
It's the remote control of your life.
I can also press another button and select my grocery list, right, from a choice of, and groceries will be delivered to my home within the next 2 hours.
That's right.
And the list goes on and on and on. So, Mike, talk to us about how automation, technology, all of that is impacting the apartment business. How is that going to or currently affecting us?
Sure. The thing that comes to mind for me is that everything that you just described is shifting consumer behavior globally, right? And so that experience that you just described with those two things
Right.
is the experience you expect to have in your apartment
Right.
community, right? And so I think if we are not forward thinking about the way these broader trends are impacting other spaces, then we're going to be left behind, right? They will soon become a differentiating factor between the experience that you are able to put on at your apartment community versus another. So the way that we employ tech, if I sort of fast forward to a punchline, I don't want to put a timeline on it. It's closer than you may think. But I think that at some point, everybody becomes sort of a concierge in your apartment community. Because everything that we think about today in terms of what we do, daily tasks, the daily systems and processes that we feed information into will go away. Because all of that stuff can give way to automation.
Yes.
Technologies can be set in place to do all that stuff behind the scenes,
Sure.
leaving us with people in our offices that sort of have to reimagine what they're doing, right? Or what they do on a daily basis. And in my head, it really is shifting from doing stuff to creating experience, right? So now we can be concierges and we can customize and individualize
Wow.
services germane to those things that you just described, these broader consumer trends.
So we get to use these resources, is
That's
really
right.
what they are, to take away things that are not allowing us to create these amazing experiences for people.
It amazes me how many times I hear, I didn't have time to do that, or I don't have time to do that. And I believe that.
Oh, absolutely.
The office gets busy. I grew up in this business in all the positions all the way up to where I am today. But I spent a lot of time in the manager seat, the leasing consultant seat, the assistant manager. So I know it gets busy. And I used to think, if I could just have this thing that would take away that, I would have more time. So to the extent that we can invest in technologies that give time back,
Yes.
that'll be a huge deal in the
So,
future.
Mike, if we start to think of questions that we could be asking ourselves, if we're, I'm working in a property in the office, some of the questions we could say are, what are those things?
That's right.
Right, that are time drainers, that are taking you away from potentially serving our residents and creating that awesome experience. experience that could potentially be automated.
That's right. I like to do, I used to do this exercise at the end of every year leading up to budget time. I used to sit down, I'd ask a maintenance supervisor and a property manager to list the top 3 time sucks, right? Maybe a
Yes.
terrible word to use, but time sucks or things that tax your time. List those top 3, and then let's think through from a leadership perspective how we put technologies in place that diminish or give that time back that you might otherwise be investing in those things,
Sure.
right? So
So once you've identified those things
Mm-hmm.
that could potentially be automated in some way through
Correct.
technology or another way, then we could reimagine and think, what could we do with the time that is left?
that's right. That's right.
What would you do with that time if those things were gone?
Yeah, if I gave you 3 hours back, what would you do with those 3 hours?
Right. So that's, and like you said, Mike, the multifamily apartment industry is not immune from
No,
these changes. In fact, you started out by saying our residents will expect that this will be the norm, not just that it's something really cool that we have, but that will just be the standard going forward.
I think it's not only residents, right? Because our own team members are consumers, which are impacted by the behaviors that we just described. So it's not only the consumer, it's the team member. And so I think everybody should fully expect that these broader trends are going to impact not only the resident experience, but the team member experience.
Absolutely. So that's exciting stuff, Mike.
Oh,
and it's technology is moving so fast. I try to stay up on it, and it's almost impossible because there are teams of people all over and all these huge companies working on things about how to make things faster, more efficient, and give people time. But I think the one thing that will never change, in my opinion, Mike, is customer service.
You are absolutely
We're
right.
always going to have to create experiences for people that are memorable.
That is exactly right.
Right.
You know, and I think, I may get on a soapbox here, but I think under that premise that customer service will never go away. It is incumbent upon organizations across this great country, whether it be in the multifamily space or any other space, to reskill individuals that work in businesses so that they can take that level of customer service up, right? We do good customer service today, but imagine if you had a full day back to invest in that experience. It'll be off the charts.
It'd be amazing. And the reviews, that will impact our Kingsley reviews that you talked about, our Your Voice, Your Home survey results, right?
That's
Where
right.
our goal is 70%. With that type of time, Mike, we would be able to far exceed 70%.
We're going to skew the index.
Exactly.
I
So
like
that is really, really exciting. So Mike, being that we love feedback at Radco and we want to hear from our team members who do, I find that they have the answers. We
Correct.
just need to ask the questions,
That's
right?
right.
So what I think we've decided to do is we're going to send out a survey in the next 2 weeks that are going to ask those questions to you to say, what are those things that if you could automate them in some way, shape, or form, what are those tasks? So think about your day, think about everything that you do in that day, and what are those things that can be automated in some way? And then on the reverse side of that, with those things automated and pushed over to the side,
That's
what
right.
would you do with that time? What are the things that you could really focus on? Like you talked about earlier, Mike, we hear a lot of times, well, I don't have time to do this. That's what should go on that list.
Anytime
right?
you say that, write it down.
There we go. Just start that list, and when you get the survey, because that's going to be really important as we look and we craft the future of our company, the future
That's
of Radco. It's like the Jetsons, right?
I love it.
George
It's here.
George Jetson in a flying car, right? Well, that's what we're doing with Radco is we're crafting what the future of work, the apartment business, so that when people look at Radco, they go, wow,
They are the trailblazers.
they are the trailblazers, and we want to be that. So we want you to be part of that survey and give us your feedback so we can start to work on a lot of those type of things and build the future of our company.
That's exactly right.
So Mike, I think we have one more video interview, and I think you're actually in this interview. So that's good. So tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
So I have to say, this interview was, it didn't start out to be what it was, but it became a very ripping story about Kim Peavy's sort of journey to being promoted into the vice president of operations position that she holds today. But sort of midway through the interview, I asked a question, and it prompted an emotional response that I thought was just absolutely ripping,
Wow.
but very sort of transparent and authentic. And I hope that we capture that in the video that we are about to see.
Let's take a look.
Hello everyone, I'm here today with Kim Peavy, the new Vice President of Operations at Radco Residential, and I have the privilege of interviewing her, talking about her time here and what led up to this moment in time where she was promoted. So Kim,
Yes.
why don't you give us a little bit of background as it relates to your journey through the multifamily space leading up to this moment in time where you've been promoted into this position?
Okay. Well, I've been in the business for a while, a long while, and really started out leasing and got the bug for it and couldn't stop. It went from there. I tried to get out. I thought I was going to be a teacher. That did not happen. So I kept leasing. I progressed through the different stages to the assistant manager role and then the property manager, and got to test out a lot of different things. We did renovations. I did new lease ups, and so I really got excited about being able to impact the lives of other people, and I think that's what's pushed me to continue to grow and then come to Radco. So I was able to go to a market update, and Norman was speaking, and just hearing him, the way that he inspired the room got me excited about Radco. And I'd heard about it, but I fell in love that day. Not with Norman, but with Radco. It really was empowering to hear someone say, I want you to go out there, I want you to take care of people, and that's our top priority. The money and those aspects are good, but we're here for the people. So the opportunity came up, and I decided to take a chance and come to Radco, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
So my imagination tells me that there were some people in your life that inspired, let's call them values, and I'm presupposing those values align with the values of this organization. So I'm interested in you telling us a little bit about some of the heroes in your life that instilled those core values in you.
Again, it started at a very young age, and I, at that time, probably pushed back and was that, teenager kid going, I don't want to do this. And my dad was always pushing us to work harder and to be bigger and better than we thought we could be.
Sure.
And he would constantly praise us, but then also give us guidelines and tools for life. And every day, we would say just a little prayer to ourselves of, give me the strength to be a better person and to do good things and to make the right decisions. And so I think I've always taken that with me through life. But my dad has definitely been the one person that said, you push, you work. And anytime I would call him up and say, hey Dad, I got promoted, or hey, I just did this at work, he's like, that's my girl. That's my girl. And so it pushed me to be bigger. And he made me realize that I didn't have to stop here. I could keep pushing and I could keep going. And so I know he'd be really proud. I didn't get to share this with him, but I know he's proud.
So I really want to thank Kim Peavy for being so open and honest
Yes.
when I was interviewing her. It was just tremendous.
It was a
and-
great story.
Yeah, most
And Mike, I
definitely.
don't want to let this moment pass without recognizing you two, because, although we talked to Kim in that video, you also were recently promoted to the Executive Vice President of Radco Residential, and congratulations to you.
Thank you. That's very kind.
It is. It is such another internal promotion, and we just keep telling those stories over and over again. It's so exciting to be part of a company that has people ready to take that next step.
True statement.
So, Mike, we've had a lot of videos that have been a part of this program today, but that's exciting because we get to highlight all of our amazing Radco team members and hear their stories, and that's what this program is all about. But I do have one final video to share. and that is our Radius Cheshire Bridge grand opening. Radius Cheshire Bridge is one of our fantastic properties that recently celebrated their grand opening. So we sent out one of our own team members, Derek McDonald, who filmed the grand opening at Radius Cheshire Bridge. So let's take a look at a little bit of the highlights of that night. So, Mike, this has been a full-packed episode of Full Brew.
That's right. That was a
We've talked the Hub, the new Radco Hub. We've
That's right.
talked Thrive, which is our new Radco Wellness program, and we've also talked about the Kingsley Task Force. So, a lot of great things that are happening in our company. And what are we missing? Is there some? Oh, I remember what we're missing.
How could you forget this?
We wanted to announce the winners of our contest. Remember last episode we said if you take a picture of your team
That's right.
watching Full Brew, which we got lots of pictures, but some people weren't necessarily watching the program, right, at that time. Maybe they were, but you had to take a picture of your team watching the program. We would enter you into a contest for a Full Brew prize pack. First ever. Never been produced before, merchandise,
That's right.
logoed with our Full Brew logo. So
You're going to see it before us.
you will see it before us. It's really cool, and I have a sneaky suspicion it has something to do with coffee.
Oh, maybe. I think you're
Given that's the theme of our program, right? So the winner is, without further ado, Magnolia Terrace.
Woo!
Way to go, Magnolia Terrace. You guys actually sent in several photos, which were fantastic. So you will be receiving your Full Brew prize pack very soon.
And with that, we want to draw Full Brew to a close. This
Yes.
episode number 6, we want to bring it to a close. But stick around because we have some very fun outtakes.
Absolutely. Stuff you don't want to miss from the interviews from me and Mike, funny stuff. And we will see you on the next episode of Full Brew next month.
Take care.
And our executive producer, Sharon Cloth.
Okay. I didn't have a good segue.
Oh, 12 Radco team members who are about, sorry, let's cut.
That are passionate about customer service.
We just said that.
As
We
you stated,
just talked about that. I'm sorry.
that presentation needs to look good, right? Excuse me. And then I really have a frog in my throat.
It was really good, though.
Water.
The content was really good.
Wow.
Sure.
I like to read.
Nerd.
His body heat is also like radiating onto. Why are men always heaters?
I'm sweating like a freight train over here.
I feel it.
Which is sizzling.
It's like starting to laugh in church and never gonna get it over. All right.
Fun stuff.
So it makes me speechless.
It's titillating.
So,
It's spellbinding.
since you're so spellbound, let me ask whether
So, Mike, we've talked. There's been a lot. That's one other thing that I'm. But before we go to, I screwed that up. Sorry.
there's a lot, but before
Yeah,
we go,
yeah,
and
sorry.
so,
I got totally
all
off track.
The prepositional
Yeah.
phrases were right there.
So,
I'm just afraid I'm going to be like,
About a foot.
We like to be really close.
yeah.
You should be really close.
our own Derek McConnell, who it's McDonald. Well, I always say McConnell. It's McDonald. One of our very own Derek McDonald. I'll just start it right there. So we sent out one of.
Natalie Sinkovich.
Yeah, where's Natalie Sinkovich? Didn't she go out and do this video? She's a real prankster. Okay. So we. Oh boy.
I was hoping at least you
This
would
is going to be one of those we're going to have a hard
recognize
time getting
it.
past.
It's hurt.
Just broke my hand. Internal screen. I'll be hunting. I just got back from a fishing trip and.
That's why I'm looking at you like you're crazy.
Super.
You're taking it. This is fantastic. Okay, ready?
Yoga namaste.
PV, Vice President
Vice
of
President
Operations,
of Operations.
are new.
And improved.
PV.
PV. Hi, I'm Mike Brewer. I'm here with Kim Peavy.
So we sent out one of our own team members, Derek McDonald, to take a look at what happened at the
Radius.
the Radco
You
Cheshire
lived there
Bridge.
for quite a while. You might be familiar with it.
Was my home for a year and a half. Yeah. You guys are going to be receiving your full brew prize pack within the next 2 weeks. Is that good?
No.
No.
They haven't even processed.
Rolling.
Could you take your big ugly mug down off of my
Oh,
face?
so-
Your mug. Off of the table.
I'm listening. We have really got derailed today.